found something quite unexpected.
Have a look at this. This is a humpback anglerfish known as a black sea monster.
We've all heard about animals going extinct, species wiped out forever, never to return. But what if I told you some of them might not be as extinct as we thought? From the impossible two-headed snake, to a goat with spider legs, to a nearly extinct squid. Today, I'll be ranking these Lazarus species in 3 tiers: A, B, and C. Let's start with C. This is Medusa, a two-headed albino Honduran milk snake. Yep, that's right. 2 heads, 1 body. It's like a real-life science experiment gone wrong, except it happened naturally. So, how does something like this even exist? It's called bicephaly, a super rare condition where an embryo doesn't split properly. It's the same thing that creates conjoined twins in humans. But for snakes, it's much rarer, because most of them don't survive long in the wild. I mean, think about it. 2 heads mean twice the trouble when it comes to hunting, moving, or, well, agreeing on anything. In this clip, Medusa is trying to drink water. But the problem here is that both heads want to control the body so bad that they're bickering like siblings over which way to go. But once they make it, both heads take a nice, long drink, like nothing happened. Now, is this thing 1 in a million? Absolutely. Would I ever want one as a pet? Probably not. This is the dodo bird 2.0. It's actually called the Shoebill stork, and it sounds like a weapon out of World War II. This is the closest thing we have to a dinosaur in 2025. Forget the crocs, take a look at its beak. It literally looks like something you'd see on a prehistoric creature, but it's all real, and it's still around today just barely. The dodo bird has been extinct for a long, long time, and the shoebills are rare and hard to find in the wild. They live in swamps in Africa, and they're picky about their homes, which is why they aren't everywhere. It gets its name from its big, shoe-shaped beak, perfect for catching fish and small animals. Here, you can see it standing still, almost like a statue, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. No, it's not being lazy, it's just how it hunts. Keep in mind, not many people get to see one of these guys, so consider yourself lucky if you do, cause I know I would. This is a white turtle, but it's not your average turtle. It's extremely rare because turtles usually come in shades of brown, green, or black. A white turtle like this is a genetic oddity, like a 1 in a million kind of thing, which means they no longer exist. Or at least, that's what we thought. This is all thanks to something called albinism, which means the turtle has little to no pigment in its skin. In the second clip, things get even crazier. We're talking about a bigger white turtle. It's not just rare, it's massive. Big turtles like this are usually older and more impressive, but finding one this size with albinism, that's just insane. In the video, these guys have been lucky enough to catch one in real time. When I looked into this, I found that these turtles are more vulnerable because they've been thought to go extinct, so spotting one is a pretty big deal. Meet the octogoat, a baby goat born with 8 legs, making it one of the weirdest things you'll ever see. This little guy was born on a farm in northeastern Croatia, and trust me, the farmer had to double-check when he saw it. Imagine counting legs and thinking you missed a few. Turns out, the octogoat was a result of a rare condition called fetal reabsorption. It happens when one twin gets absorbed by the other during pregnancy, but the goat here ended up with some extra parts, like 2 reproductive organs, both male and female. This anomaly made the octogoat one of a kind. It was also born with triplet siblings, but this one stood out and I wonder why. The condition is rare, and honestly, it's not something you see every day. You'll see this little goat trying to move around with all those extra legs, doing its thing like any other kid, but a lot more awkward. This is a two-headed calf, and honestly, it shouldn't even exist, but somehow it does. Born on a farm, this calf has 2 heads, 2 noses, and 2 mouths. So, how did this happen? It's the result of a super rare condition called polycephaly, where an embryo doesn't fully separate during development. It's like a freak accident that can happen in the womb, and it doesn't usually end well. Most two-headed animals don't survive long in the wild or even on farms, but this one made it. It's incredibly rare and not something you see every day, thankfully. You'll see the calf trying to figure out how to use both heads. This is the Foltzko's chameleon, and believe it or not, it was thought to be extinct for over 100 years. Scientists hadn't seen one since the 1800s, and they basically wrote it off as a ghost. But guess what? Someone just found one not too long ago. So how did this chameleon get so rare? That's because it's only found in a tiny part of Madagascar, and its habitat was slowly disappearing over time. That, plus the fact that no one knew it even existed anymore, made it impossible to spot. In this clip, you can see this little guy, probably wondering what all the fuss is about. Chameleons are known for changing color, but with such a rare comeback, who knows how long it'll stay hidden again. This is a 4-legged duck. When I first saw this, I thought I might be seeing things. Ducks usually have 2 legs, but this one got an extra pair. Now this isn't some magical creature, it's the result of a rare genetic mutation. You see, sometimes animals can develop extra limbs due to changes in their DNA while they're growing in the egg, but having 4 legs isn't exactly the best thing for a duck. Ducks are built for swimming and waddling on 2 legs, so adding extra legs doesn't exactly make life easier. This 4-legged duck is extremely rare. This here is a cassowary, and it's basically a giant colorful bird that looks like something straight out of a prehistoric world. Native to the rainforests of Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands, this bird isn't one to mess with. It was reported that this bird could grow over 6 feet tall and weighs up to 130 pounds. What makes it really wild is that it has a huge helmet-like structure on its head, called a casque, and its feet are armed with a sharp claw that can easily cause some serious damage. The cassowary was considered almost extinct, mainly because its rainforest habitat is disappearing, which means it's harder for these birds to thrive. Just listen to how this bird sounds and tell me it's not insane. This is a mutant penguin, and it's not like any penguin you've seen before. Instead of the usual black and white coloring, this one has a white and light brown coat. It's kind of like a blonde penguin, which is extremely rare. These penguins were thought to be extinct years ago, or at least impossible to find, but here we are, looking at one. So how did this happen? It's all about a genetic mutation that affects the penguin's coloring. Normally, penguins have black and white feathers to help them blend in with the ice and ocean, but this one got a totally different look. The rare coloring makes it stand out, but it's also something that doesn't happen often in the wild. In this footage, the penguin's just waddling around, probably not realizing it's a one-of-a-kind superstar. This is a white wallaby. And no, it's not some albino kangaroo, although they kind of look similar. White wallabies are incredibly rare, and they are not supposed to exist. They stand out in the wild, which makes them more vulnerable to predators. The chances of seeing one are slim because they usually blend in with their environment. But this little guy is definitely showing off its unique look. This white wallaby is just hopping around, looking like it's just trying to live its best life. B tier. We're now entering the tier B. Now this is a piglet, but not just any piglet. It was born with a face that looks a whole lot more like a monkey's than a pig's. This unusual appearance is the result of a rare genetic mutation that messed with the way the piglet's face developed in the womb. Instead of the usual pig snout, it ended up with features more commonly seen in primates. This kind of thing doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's usually a 1 in a million chance. Most of these animals don't survive long, but this piglet made it. This is a cyclops kitten, and yes, it's as wild as it sounds. Instead of having 2 eyes like most kittens, this little guy only has 1 big eye in the center of its face. It's caused by a rare birth defect called cyclopia, where the 2 eyes don't fully separate during development. Because of this, the kitten is born with a single large eye in the middle of its head. Cyclops kittens are extremely rare, and most don't survive for long. It's an unbelievable kind of thing, and this one here is a pretty special case. In the clip, you'll see the kitten just barely trying to survive. Blue lobsters are super rare, so rare that catching one is like winning the lottery. It's a 1 in 2 million chance. But this one is different. This blue color comes from a genetic mutation that causes a special protein to build up in their shells, turning them a bright, unusual blue. The mutation is so uncommon that most lobsters are the regular brown or greenish color you're used to seeing. So, why are they so rare? Simply put, most of them don't make it to adulthood. They're either caught early or don't survive in the wild because their bright blue color makes them easy targets. In the clip, you'll see this stunning blue lobster trying to figure out how it got abducted by aliens. This is a Tasmanian tiger. But not just any Tasmanian tiger. This one is the last known one to ever exist. These animals were already super rare when they roamed the earth. But sadly, they went extinct in the 1930s. The Tasmanian tiger, also called the thylacine, looked a lot like a dog with stripes on its back, and it was native to Tasmania, Australia, and New Guinea. They were hunted down by humans and lost their habitats over time. By the time scientists realized how special they were, it was too late. In the clip, this tiger is just chilling in captivity without knowing how rare he is. This is the Kermode bear, and it's one of the rarest bears you'll ever see. It's also known as the spirit bear because of its pure white fur, which is pretty different from the usual black bear you might imagine. The Kermode bear is found mostly in British Columbia, Canada, and is a rare color variation of the black bear. It happens because of a genetic mutation that gives it that unique white coat. Sadly, these bears are incredibly rare, with only about 400 to 1,000 of them left in the wild. The loss of their forest habitat and other environmental changes have made them harder to find. In this clip, you'll see the bear just doing its thing, probably hunting or wandering through the forest, showing off that amazing white fur. This here is a 2-headed boa, but it's probably the last one of its kind. This snake has a rare condition called polycephaly, where the embryo doesn't fully separate, resulting in 2 heads instead of 1. It's super strange to see a snake with 2 working heads, and personally, it's a little mind-blowing. 2-headed snakes are incredibly rare, and they don't live very long in the wild. Each head might try to control the body, leading to a lot of confusion and competition between them. This causes the snake to struggle with basic tasks like hunting and moving around. In the clip, you'll see the boa just trying to slither along, with both heads trying to do their own thing as the scientists experiment on it. These two African white lion cubs were just born, but they're not your average cubs. What I've found out is that they have white fur, but they're not albino. These white lions are actually a rare color variation of the regular African lions. Their white coat comes from a genetic mutation, not a lack of pigmentation like albino animals. You see, white lions used to be seen only in the wild in a small area of South Africa, but they're so rare now that it's almost like spotting a unicorn. Their numbers are low, mostly because of habitat loss and human interference. Here, you'll see these little cubs just hanging out, probably bonding with their caretakers. This here is a Dumbo octopus, and it's one of the rarest octopuses on Earth. If you think it looks cute, you're not alone. This octopus has big floppy fins that make it look like the character Dumbo from the famous Disney movie. I guess that's why it's called Dumbo. Dumbo octopuses are super rare because they live really deep in the ocean, sometimes thousands of feet below the surface. Because of that, we don't get to see them very often. They're hard to study, and they're often found in remote areas. Take a look at this octopus gliding through the water. This here is a Doberman, but it's not just any Doberman. This dog has vitiligo, a condition that causes the skin to lose pigment in certain areas, making the fur turn white. It's the same thing that happens to people with vitiligo, but it's pretty rare in animals. Vitiligo happens when the cells that make color in the skin stop working. For this Doberman, it started to get patches of white fur around its face and paws, giving it a super unique look. You might have seen other dogs with random spots, but it's not every day you see a dog like this. This is a rare oarfish caught in Mexico. Oarfish are known for their long, snake-like bodies that can grow up to 36 feet. They live deep in the ocean, usually over 1,000 feet below the surface. But every once in a while, they come up to the surface for reasons scientists are still figuring out. Because they live so deep, they're not often seen, making them feel like they're extinct. But this one is even rarer because it was caught off the coast of Mexico. Most people go their whole lives without seeing one of these guys. So, catching an oarfish like this is a big deal. This is a black sea devil. Sounds creepy, right? Well, it should, because it is. This fish is one of the most bizarre creatures to ever swim in the ocean. It has a long, dark body and a glowing lure that it uses to attract prey in the pitch-black depths of the sea. But this is the first time anyone has ever spotted one. This here is a pink dolphin. Yeah, I know, dolphins aren't supposed to be pink, but this one is, and it's amazing. These dolphins live in the rivers of Brazil, and their unique pink color comes from a mix of genetics and the warm, muddy water they swim in. However, they're becoming harder to find. Pink dolphins are getting closer to extinction because of habitat loss and pollution. Humans have been messing with their homes, and it's making it tough for them to survive. You're getting a rare look at one of these incredible creatures before they possibly disappear. We're now entering Tier A. This here is a zonkey. Yes, you heard that right. Half zebra, half donkey. It's like nature couldn't decide which one to go with, so it just mashed them together. Zonkies happen when a zebra and a donkey, well, really like each other. But here's the thing. This doesn't happen often. Zebras and donkeys don't usually mix in the wild. Most zonkies are born in captivity, making them super rare. Plus, they can't have babies of their own, which is why you won't see them running around in herds. In this footage I found, this little guy is just existing, being both stripy and donkey-ish at the same time. This is a geep. Yes, this is what happens when you play too much Goat Simulator. No, this is what happens when a goat and a sheep decide to mix things up. And now we have this little fluff ball. It's part goat, part sheep, and somehow still exists, even though it really shouldn't. Goats and sheep are different species, so normally their babies don't survive. But every now and then, a geep beats the odds. This is a two-headed snake from India. And no, it's not a glitch in the Matrix. Like the others, it's a rare case of bicephaly, where one snake embryo tries to split into two but doesn't quite finish the job. Instead of one sleek, slithering predator, you get a reptile with double the personality and half the survival skills. Why is it so rare? Because nature doesn't mess around. Two heads mean double the trouble. This is a frilled shark, a creature so ancient it's like the grandpa of the shark world. It's got 300 teeth that are sharp and angled, which help it snag prey in the deep sea. Imagine a snake with fins. That's kind of what it looks like. It's rare because it lives so deep in the ocean, we hardly ever get to see it. Most people think it's extinct, but it's been hiding out in the ocean, mostly keeping to itself. These sharks are like nature's best-kept secret, staying out of sight to avoid bigger, meaner predators. In this footage, the frilled shark is just doing what it does best, swimming around, probably looking for dinner with its super sharp teeth. It's a wild throwback to a time when sharks looked much different than the ones we know today. I can't imagine what it must feel like to live so far down in the ocean. But make no mistake, this is not the only shark to beat extinction. This here is called the goblin shark. It's not a monster from a movie, but it sure looks like one. The goblin shark is a rare type of deep-sea shark with a long, flat snout that looks a little bit like a goblin's face. It lives in the deep ocean, way down where most people never go. That's why we don't see it much. It managed to beat extinction, but it's still incredibly hard to find, making it a mystery to most of us. Its snout helps it hunt by sensing prey in the dark depths of the ocean. I swear to God, the extendo jaw really caught me off guard. This one here is probably looking for its next meal, and I'm glad it's not gonna be me. This is not AI. And no, this is not the viper from Kung Fu Panda either. This here is the blue pit viper. It's one of the most colorful and dangerous snakes you'll ever see. Found mainly in Southeast Asia, this snake has bright blue scales that make it look like something straight out of a fantasy movie. For a long time, blue pit vipers were considered extinct, but that's because they don't live just anywhere. They prefer the highlands, hanging out in cool, misty forests. But their beautiful color isn't just for looks. It helps them blend into the environment. The golden snub-nosed monkey is a rare species that only lives in the mountains of central China. They have these cool-looking bright orange fur and a blue face. These monkeys live in groups and are known for their loud, playful behavior. But here's the interesting part. When a baby is born, all the female monkeys want to hold it. It's like they take turns because the baby is precious to the whole group. A Japanese couple was out by the water when they stumbled across something amazing. A 2.5-meter giant squid floating near a rocky shoreline. That's the size of a minivan. I've heard that these squids can grow up to 40 feet long, making them one of the biggest creatures in the ocean. But they're super hard to spot, and this particular squid just almost went extinct. Most of their lives happen deep in the ocean, where we can't see them. So, when this video surfaced online, everyone went crazy. Which animal do you think that also deserves to make a comeback out of extinction? Let me know in the comments below.